Yo, what's up? We made it! It's Friday! Alright, gonna do that thing today. So we're gonna do the newsletter roundup today. What's up? Hey, Creative here. My mic's spiking here. Let me turn that down a hair. Yeah, boy. So K Creative in the house with Bamboo Solutions. Gonna be doing our weekly newsletter roundup. Today, we're gonna go over the newsletter we send out every Friday. If you're not familiar, Bamboo is a product and services company. And yeah, we do stuff. Microsoft stuff in the cloud, right? So today's our newsletter coverage. We send it out every Friday, 8 a.m. Get it in your mailbox. There you go. A little link there for you to sign up for that if you're interested. If you're browsing through Twitch, let me paste that into. So I'm simultaneously streaming to Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook on our Bamboo Nation online page there in Facebook. So let me put this into that universal chat thingy. If I can get it to work here. Hold up. So what's new? What's going on with y'all out there? How are your SharePoint endeavors? Yeah, my chat tool's now working here. What's going on? There it goes. I'm gonna paste that in universal chat. Feel free to get registered for the newsletter there. But yeah, we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to turn these tunes down and we're going to get rocking and rolling. Taking a look at, yeah, the newsletter. So the newsletter is coverage of Microsoft, Azure, SharePoint, Office 365, everything out there, right, in that particular area of expertise and that market. This newsletter covers kind of the latest happenings over the last 7 days. So yeah, let's do it, man. Let's take a look at what's going on. So here's a look at the newsletter. If you've never seen it before, that's what it looks like. It's a MailChimp newsletter, nothing new. Probably already have like 6 of these in your mailbox somewhere, right? There is a way for you to access past issues though, if you're interested in looking at the past weeks of coverage there. There you go. Click on that. But I'm going to view it here in the browser so we can navigate through this and click through and go. If you're not familiar, broken down into 3 sections: top news stories around the blogosphere and SharePoint events. A lot of SharePoint events going on. Looks like mostly SharePoint Saturdays coming up here. Definitely want to get into some of those if you haven't done that before. So let's jump in. I haven't actually gotten the chance to pre-check some of these links and see what's going down, but we're going to go through it together for the first time here, and we'll just kind of talk through it. So top news stories, number 1. Announcing availability of an updated page diagnostics tool for SharePoint. I saw a lot of this on Twitter this week. You guys been following? If not, you should be. It's like every SharePoint guy is, I don't know, they're all very excited about the metrics and the information that we're going to be able to get out of this. Yo, what's up, Srud? Hey, quick question. Do you believe Microsoft will restrict the external sharing in SharePoint like they have done in CRM? I don't think so, man. I think the way I see it moving forward, it's going to become a good place to host extranet type material. At least that's the way I see it going. And I can tell you right now, from all of my recent and current ongoing consulting engagements, almost the primary request is to be able to share stuff externally. So I kind of see it going in that direction. So we'll see. Good question. What do you think? Are you seeing something different? I'd be interested in hearing your opinion on that. So the page diagnostic tool, if you're not familiar, for SharePoint, it's a Chromium browser extension that can be used in Chrome and Microsoft Edge version 77 or later. But yeah, it's supposed to give us a bunch of site page. So it's designed to help us identify site pages in SharePoint Online that may not be delivering optimal performance. So you get some cool stuff out of this. Here's a good look at what that might look like. That little thumb, that sort of flyout navigation there. That you're going to be able to see some of the details and how you can interact with it. I do have same believe, and I thank you for your thoughts. Yeah, man, no problem. Thanks for jumping on. Appreciate you watching today. So what else? So the tool works by comparing discovered characteristics of a site page, they're saying, in SharePoint Online to known best practices and provide guidance towards remediation. So that's pretty tight, right? Like we're going to be able to look at this thing. It's going to give you some tips on how to perform and optimize your performance of your pages and determine which ones may not be giving optimal experiences to your customers or to your end users, right? So this diagnostics tool, everybody's super pumped about, and I'm sure it's just going to turn into some amazing, huge, you know how like the dev tools are in the browser? I bet this becomes like a SharePoint specific dev tool kind of capability. So we'll see where that goes in the future. Really neat though, huh? Number 2, what does the SharePoint 2010 end of life mean for users? Isn't that fast? When was that? October 13th, 2020? So EOL, there you go. If you're still on that, woof, buddy, we got some migration talk to have. As Microsoft prepares to sunset the collaboration platform, users need to know what steps to take before extended support is no longer available, they're saying. They're also saying if your organization is still using 2010, keep reading to learn everything you need to know before the shutdown. So the good news, he says, if you're bracing for an apocalyptic end to SharePoint 2010, don't worry. The platform won't stop working right at midnight. But it does mean that Microsoft's no longer going to issue security patches or bug fixes, nor are they going to offer support for operating systems. What else? What are the thoughts? Microsoft's offering 2 solutions for customers looking to avoid the catastrophe, on-premise and the cloud. So for on-prem, migrating from 2010 seems straightforward, but with the solution being to migrate to a new version at either 2016 or 19, that said, it's a multi-phased upgrade that often poses more risk to TrueDAP. So what we're finding right now, specifically to this, people coming off 2010 go in SharePoint Online primarily, some of them go in 2019, some to 2016. We're really doing data migrations as opposed to the old traditional migration, and that may or may not suffice for your organization, but data migrations seem to be the quickest win. And so we're not carrying forward those solutions, obviously, but we are taking all that data, putting it in the new home, sort of getting a clean environment and just migrating some old data into it, and then adjusting from there. But what else? A new server is required for 2016 and 2019, yep, and those servers already have EOL dates, that's right. So SharePoint 2016, I just went through this with a customer, July 14, 2026. And look at this one, right? 2013, it's pretty much not recommended to migrate to at this point because your EOL is fast approaching in 2023. So good post here on the EOL end of life for those various versions of SharePoint. How organizations can adapt to SharePoint's modern shift. Dealing with this every day, huh? So in a September interview, they're saying here from Redmond, SharePoint expert at Asif described how users, developers, and organizations are dealing with SharePoint Online's so-called modern innovations. Let's see here. Ramani is the CEO and founder of Visual SP. He's a company that offers interactive guides. A few years ago, Microsoft charted a different course with SharePoint Online, cloud-based collaboration and document sharing SharePoint solution. We didn't know what that was. It supports intranets using modern pages, they're saying, which offer a more responsive design that can be used across different devices, including mobile ones. The lighter SharePoint framework is used for client-side application development. Sites based on SharePoint Online have a more flattened intranet hierarchy as well. What else we got here? So, how organizations can adapt. Kind of going into detail here on some of those points that I just talked about or read. He's asking, are end users stuck on using InfoPath 2013, or are they taking alternatives like PowerUps? Many companies are making that transition. We're finding that a lot here at Bamboo. People are moving to the PowerUps family. In fact, we're building a lot of PowerUps currently, doing some amazing things with those. You know, like we can integrate your devices to provide us with that geolocation type data, with access to your phone's camera and being able to upload that into SharePoint data, right? Just that kind of integration is really nice. It's just so easy too, right? Like PowerUps is built for the citizen developer practically. What aspects of SharePoint typically confound end users? Modern interfaces in SharePoint Online have become much easier and better. That's true, he says. With all SaaS applications, though, there still will be points of contention where users won't know exactly what to do when trying to get work done. Can you use PowerUps to build a public website? No, you can't use it to build a website, but you can build apps out of it by dragging and dropping components and doing a little bit of customization and configuration of that to provide some interaction with the data. So you can build forms and you can build apps and things like that. Now, I say you can't build a public website, but you could build an app that functions like an informative site. And I don't know specifically, but I did see some conversations recently happening around anonymous access to your PowerUps. So users that are not in your organization and don't have organizational accounts. It would be interesting to know. I'm not real positive on that capability yet. I haven't had to develop a solution like that, but that's a good question. So there is discussion around it. That's all I can say. I can't confirm whether or not you can build an anonymous Power App. But we can look it up. Check that out here if we got some time at the end. Well, the Microsoft Ignite conference this fall, starting November 4th, possibly bring any SharePoint developments of note. I just gave a Panda talk yesterday. Yeah, no props, Rod. The Panda talk happened yesterday, and so I got to bring some numbers out of the current roadmap for SharePoint Online, or Office 365, actually, and they're impressive. We got like 277 things, I think, in the roadmap. 139 are in a ready-to-release state, so 139 features for Office 365 currently rolling out. That's crazy, right? That's a lot of development going on. So anyways, lots of updates coming out. Launch of private channels in Microsoft Teams was delayed. I was excited about this, actually. Let's see, what are they saying about that? They once again delayed the launch of private channels in Microsoft Teams. The company now plans to complete its rollout of the feature in early November. So after previously saying it would be done in September. Yeah. So private channels, visible to only the members within them. Since 2017, they've been talking about this. They once slated it for early 2018. Yeah. So a lot of slippage there. There's probably a lot of complexities behind that, I'm sure. Yep. Their mum on the delay. All right. Slack, a main rival of Microsoft Teams, they're saying, has supported its version of private channels since 2015. All right. Cool. So private Teams still coming out, just a small delay there. I definitely have not been counting on that for any customer implementations. Not sure why anyone would be at the moment. Microsoft 365 branding replacing Office 365 in latest Office Insider builds. Look at that. Here we go. Gonna be switching that name. I was just looking up a comparison yesterday for the Panda Talk. So if you missed the Panda Talk yesterday, it is on our YouTube channel, and you can find that there and review that. But I did talk about how I was looking for comparisons. Like, what's the difference between Microsoft 365? How do I explain that to a customer between Microsoft 365 and Office 365? And really, the only difference was the fact that Windows 10 licensing was included in Microsoft 365, right? Well, now it looks like it doesn't really matter. We're going to call it all Microsoft 365. See there? The latest Office Insider build, however, suggests Office 365 may be on its way out, with the branding disappearing from the splash screen of the Office Suite apps. Yeah, that's kind of a verbiage terminology discussion there, right? So that'll keep you in the know. That'll make you sound smart, right? Go to your team meetings. Nope, it's not called that anymore. What else we got here? Microsoft extends Exchange Server 2010 support to October 13, 2020. What do we got going on here? So they did confirm it will extend support for Exchange Server 2010 beyond the originally posted cutoff date. It was originally slated to stop receiving security updates on January 14th, 2020. The mail and calendar server solution will now stop getting support on October 13th, 2020. So if you're an administrator out there of an Exchange farm and you're potentially still on Exchange Server 2010, check yourself. Dates are coming. What else we got here? Microsoft unveils service to keep Azure connections private. So Azure Private Link, a new service designed to keep Azure service connections off the public internet, is now available for Microsoft as a preview. Service isolates connections to Azure Platform as a Service, products within Microsoft's private backbone network. So it's going to stay within the organization's virtual network, or VNet. Let's see here. Public internet still gets used at some point, even in today's implementation of it. They've explained that when an organization uses VNet service endpoints, the PaaS, the Platform as a Service endpoint, is still served over a public IP address, and therefore is not reachable from on-premises environments through Azure Express Route, private peering, or VPN gateway. So the Express Route, if you're not familiar, service is yet another way for organizations to have private internet connections when connecting to Azure services, but it's typically billed as a solution for getting high bandwidth connections. In contrast, though, they're saying Azure Private Link appears to be a solution for organizations that just don't want to touch the public internet when accessing Azure service. So it's like a direct line private, right? So there's your options there. Partner support. Service provider partners using Azure today can use VNet peering to establish a private connection. Microsoft sees Azure Private Link as something that its partners offering solutions through the Azure Marketplace likely will use in the near future. And then here's how a Microsoft announcement expressed it, blah, blah. All right. The preview of Azure Private Link currently just supports some Azure services right now, namely Azure Storage, Azure Data Lake, Storage Gen 2, Azure SQL Database, Azure SQL Data Warehouse, customer-owned services, etc. But in the coming months, Microsoft plans to add Private Link support for Cosmos, MySQL, PostgreSQL, and MariaDB, app services, and Azure Key Vault, and partner services. So a lot more services included there in that Private Link capability. Cool, cool, cool. What else? Last one here for top news stories. Microsoft Edge and Chromium goes beta. Microsoft says it's ready for everyday use. So that's what I'm viewing today. This is actually Microsoft Edge beta. Right? No, I'm actually in the dev channel here. If you notice down here at the bottom of my screen, I've got 3 builds of Microsoft Edge Chromium. All 3 of these, actually, that you see in the screenshot on the monitor. So we got beta channel, dev channel, canary channel. So the canary is like nightly builds. Beta is every 6 weeks. Dev channel is weekly updates. So anyways, you can get a more stable version, which is what I think Microsoft is trying to push out there to get people to use and test, is the beta, since it's a little bit more stable than Canary and Dev. But I will say, if you're a Chrome user and yet do a lot of the Microsoft things and just kind of want to try this out, it's pretty much Chrome, right? It's Edge, it's Microsoft's version of Chrome browser. And it's awesome, pretty amazing. I can actually add extensions from the Chrome Web Store. So if you're already used to a bunch of extensions that you've been using in my Google Chrome for a long time, they plug right in here too, man. It's awesome. I likes. All right, so around the blogosphere, SPFX. Oh, so if you're not familiar, around the blogosphere, so to kind of break it down, top news stories section of our newsletter is around the media companies that put out posts and magazine articles and things like that. Around the blogosphere is really our evangelists, our MVPs, our enthusiasts out in the marketplace that are writing blog posts. This is where that all gets consolidated. And so these are some of the more technical pieces that you'll find, like developers talking through solutions, or people highlighting issues they have with certain services and then coming up with solutions for those. So if you're in the development or administrative side of things for SharePoint, then this may speak more to you than some of the bigger news that's happening out there. Does Microsoft 365 search base on SharePoint search or Elasticsearch? Because Azure search base on Elasticsearch. I don't know, actually. I wonder if that's a quick search. Let's find out. Microsoft 365 search. I'm pretty sure it's going to be on the larger scope of things, like the whatever Bing is based on. Microsoft 365 search based on Elastic. Let's just see what they say. Microsoft Azure search. Yeah, no, I have to dig deeper into that. I'm not really positive about that. Good question, though. Anybody else in chat know that? All right, so SPFX, right? You have Googled it but never got an answer. I did the same thing very briefly there, but Let me just try one more search here and just see if we get something. Microsoft 365 search. Actually, isn't it called Microsoft Search? It's not called 365 Search, I don't believe. Just straight up Microsoft Search. Here we go. Let me just see if I get a quick answer for you. Here we go. Wondering how Microsoft Search and SharePoint work together? Microsoft Search in SharePoint is the modern search experience in SharePoint Online. Okay, that didn't help. Yeah, I don't know. This article I found, here's an overview of Microsoft Search. Let me show this on the screen. Good question, though. I'm interested in that, too. So it's the Microsoft Search is the unified search capability in the Microsoft 365 productivity apps and the broader Microsoft ecosystem, right? The whole thing. So over time, Microsoft Search will be available in more and more apps across Microsoft 365. It helps users find the right answers, people, and content to complete their tasks. So here's a look at what you see, right? Like as you navigate the different services in Office 365, you have that new centralized search capability there across the top in your I used to refer to it as the app launcher bar or whatever. I don't even know what you call it now. And then let's see, you've got a new search results type of capability. And let's see here. So here's a list of the apps that currently have that search built in. You got OneDrive, SharePoint Online, Outlook, Office apps, and Windows. So in addition, signed-in users find Microsoft Search in Bing. When you're using straight up Bing, you have the option now to search in your organization and get those results as well as public www results. You get it on office.com, and then the starting pages for Word, Excel, and PowerPoint Online. So the requirements, there are some requirements. I didn't realize that you had to be in these certain packages and licensing to get that. So what content is search? What types of results can users find? SharePoint, Office, Bing, Outlook. So you can get that public result set there. How does it work? Let's see here. Search processes the query and parses search intent from larger phrases using AI to learn common superfluous phrases users added to their queries. Because work-related searches may be sensitive, Microsoft Search uses a set of trust measures for how these searches are handled by the public web results part of Bing. Microsoft Search requests are made over HTTPS, yep. Regardless of whether a user query contains one or more work-related results in the return response, the following measures are taken. Logging, search history, advertising. Huh. So I don't have a real good answer for you, dude, but that's probably a good article there if you were looking to dig into that and really kind of understand how that worked, which I might need to be doing. So I'm going to post that in chat so everyone can kind of check that out and give you access to that. It's a good start. Good question now. Where'd we go? So we never got into this one. How to significantly improve your SharePoint Framework build performance from the SP blog. See what we got on here. So overclockers, how to significantly improve that performance for building your apps. Mainly around that serve command, because it's the most frequently used command among developers. Gulp serve is kind of a watch mode for your SharePoint Framework solution. So as soon as you update a file, it'll spin up the build process and it'll refresh your browser finally so that you can see the changes. However, from here, he says he hears complaints about the poor performance of gulp serve command. So how's he fixing that? He's got a list of tricks, he says, which reduce the amount of time to build a common SharePoint Framework solution. And by build, he means serve or bundle without the ship parameter. Serve is never ending and has an additional step which refreshes your browser. In all of the cases, though, they're the same. So let's see. You got to disable the autosave feature in VS Code. You got to disable TS-lint and TypeScript tasks. Seems kind of hacky, but I guess it works. Add include rule for Webpack's source map loader. Disable minification for CSS loader and use hard source Webpack plugin. So there is a plugin involved. Then you got to bundle only the web parts you need for development, aka active component. And then you run some performance tests. So here he's got the SP starter kit with optimizations, time 60 seconds. improvement times faster, 1 times faster. Yeah, absolutely, man. Not a problem. So yeah, good article there on how to improve that performance if you're looking for that. New video upload, deep dive into Power BI with SharePoint. That sounds awesome. In support of the Utah SharePoint user group and the Microsoft user group, Utah, a couple of groups there. This dude, John White, hosted a webinar entitled Deep Dive into Power BI with SharePoint. So it's here, accessible to you on the web page. Let me see if I can get a link here, copy link. I'll post that in chat. You can go watch that later if you're interested in Power BI and SharePoint. What's he say, though, specifically around this? For those who don't know John, yep, makers of, okay. No summary here, but other than deep dive. Yeah, there you go. Get a deep dive. Power BI and SharePoint. Definitely something that we're going to be focusing on, right? As more and more organizations adopt Power BI as their visualization and data intelligence type of tool, business intelligence, you're going to find that integration there in SharePoint to become almost standard. What else? Speed up SharePoint Framework builds with WSL2. I have been testing with WSL2 lately. You guys installed that? I'm interested. When I first installed it, it was the first iteration of it, so it was, I think it was still in preview, and the localhost redirect from WSL2 to the Windows localhost wasn't working yet. So I haven't tried it recently. I'm not sure if that's fixed or not, but what's he saying here? Framework builds are very fast on new projects, but once you start adding more components or functionality to builds, yeah, here we go, right? Optimization necessary. As we don't want to wait 1 to 2 minutes before we can verify and test our changes, we were looking for some ways to improve the build process. And luckily, there's a couple of people actively looking at how the build process can be improved. Yep, we read this one right here, actually, that he's referring to. Here recommends reading that article as it provides a couple of exciting performance improvements. What else? Using Windows subsystem for Linux. A long time ago, I tested out WSL for checking if it would optimize the build times for SPFX, but it didn't. And then the test that I did back then, it was even slower. The reason for this is that it used the Windows file system. WSL2 is changing that significantly. Because in this version of WSL, you can make use of the Linux file system itself and make it much faster during git clones, npm installations, and builds. For instance, the npm install on their mono repo took 10 to 15 minutes on Windows, and on WSL2 it reduced it to 3, so that's pretty good. So installing the insider build, gotta do that. Windows insider build. You're gonna install the node version of your choice. Once on the Linux home directory, you can recreate and copy your projects there. And then running the tests. You clone the PnP starter kit there for SharePoint. What would localhost? Here we go. What is he saying? You might ask yourself with gulp-serve and the localhost, this is covered by WSL2. When you run code dot and have the remote WSL extension installed, you can directly do changes to your project. All right, cool. Some more optimization there for your SharePoint Framework dev needs. Where are we at? We're already at half past the hour, which is usually when this stream ends, but going a little long today, so bear with me, hang out, or go. Watch it on demand later, cool. Shave a modern SharePoint list as a template. How do we do that? So, one of the features that's been missing, right, in the modern SharePoint, it was very handy to copy list definitions and migrate those lists with that content. That was amazing. Yeah, it's true. It's not completely gone, he says, though, with a few workarounds. It's still possible to bring it back. However, it's not recommended to follow this path. I still don't know how to say his name. I gotta go watch some YouTube videos to see how people pronounce his name, but I have no idea. I'll totally screw that up. So sorry, man. But thanks for the post here. Looks like you're gonna run some PowerShell to save the site as a template. You can apply the list template, do some troubleshooting there. Looks like lists with person fields are not supported by the method, but if you get an error message, you can work through it with some fix here. So that's good. It's a little tool to add to your tool belt there. Automate building, testing, deploying SharePoint Framework projects with Azure Pipelines in 4 steps. Good old Andrew Connell here knocking it out. In just 4 simple steps, the post will show you how to automate the build, test, and deployment to SharePoint Online for any SharePoint Framework project using Azure Pipelines. If you don't know what Azure Pipelines is, it's part of the suite of tools there in Azure DevOps. DevOps is all the rage these days. Developers throw it in resumes left and right. Recruiters are always searching for it. Truth, truth, truth. Azure DevOps, what used to be VSTS, provides a way to do it. So it's called Azure Pipelines. In the past, it was broken down into 2 stages, building and releasing. The build stage was something you could define using YAML files or using a web-based designer that generated the YAML file. Remember that. Releases can only be defined using the designer tool. The SharePoint Framework doc shows, how you could create an automation pipeline using those tools. So there you go, there's a link for that. He's actually working on some of this in his course, if you're not familiar. He does have a course on how to develop using SharePoint Framework. I think it's voitanos.io or something like that. So check that out if you're interested. Then Azure YAML pipelines. I like this approach so much more for 2 reasons. More flexible. It can be made into a template. Announcing Azure YAML pipelines for SPFX projects. You said 4 simple steps. What's up? So here are the steps. Create a service connection to GitHub and your Azure DevOps account. Create a variable group with the credentials of the account and the URL of the sites to deploy the package to. Drop in an Azure Pipelines YAML into your project. And then add the pipeline to your Azure DevOps project by selecting the Azure Pipelines YAML file in the project. So yeah, I went through that super quick, but he's got some screenshots here to kind of walk you through it. Good post if you're looking to sort of automate that build, test, and deploy scenario. How to track documents in SharePoint using Document ID feature. Today you'd like to talk, thank you, Mr. Greg. Always got posts from Greg here in our newsletter, it seems like. How to track documents in SharePoint using the Document ID feature. Historically, it's been used by organizations to track documents in SharePoint. However, it does have some other benefits, he says. Though SharePoint went through a renaissance lately with a whole suite of modern features, modern pages, Office 365 groups, etc., the feature is still available. He wants to explain what it is and how to track documents in SharePoint using document IDs. So it's available at a site collection level, he says. SharePoint that assigns each document uploaded to SharePoint a unique ID. This ID allows us to quickly find a document within SharePoint by the uniquely assigned number. Moreover, the documents get a permanent URL via the same unique document ID assigned to it. So in case the document is moved to another location within the same site collection, the URL doesn't change. So what are the benefits? I need to go, got alarms on. Teams just like, I'm going to ignore your Windows settings to not provide notifications. Let me do not disturb myself. So what are the benefits of a document ID feature? He says you can search a document in SharePoint by the document ID. The document gets a permanent URL, like you kind of talked about there in the intro, and the unique ID is unique to a list or library, while document ID is unique to the whole site collection. And then how to configure the document ID feature, so you can go and activate that feature in site information, click on View All Site Settings, under Site Collection Administration, click on Site Collection Features, and then activate that feature. And you can configure it there. It's got its own little option in the site settings. You can set that up, you can assign document IDs, you can add some sort of a variable to prepend all of your document IDs with a certain term, I guess. You can edit the current view, and then you can actually add, what is he adding there? Check the box next to the document ID column and specify the order and click OK. Gotcha. So he's surfacing the document ID linked to the document there. These don't currently have any, but then he went back and got those upload documents and they get an ID. So it looks like maybe existing documents in the library prior to you configuring document ID won't have that. But maybe triggering a modification around those might, I'm assuming, maybe trigger document IDs. What was he saying right here? There is a timer job that runs in the background that takes care of these changes. You might need to wait up to 24 hours. Gotcha. Cool things to do with the document ID feature. You can do search. So if you want to search by a document ID in modern SharePoint, you need to use this syntax. Some strange syntax there. DLC doc ID doc space ID and then the number. I won't go into details why this is the case, but I'll just mention we are searching by managed properties. Okay, classic SharePoint things are a bit easier with classic SharePoint pages. Over there we have a web part called Find by Document ID. You can add that to the page. Yep. And then embed property in Microsoft Word. Another cool thing you can do with document IDs is to embed them in Microsoft Word documents. This is handy if say you share your documents outside of SharePoint. Having an embedded document ID feature stamped on the documents allows users to quickly locate those originals in SharePoint should this need arise. Okay. You can move docs to other sites, but this is within, as long as it's in the same site collection, right? The most critical requirement for this is destination site collection must also have document. Okay, gotcha. So you can move it across site collections, but that has to have that feature activated already. Cool stuff. I didn't know about the document ID permanent URL. What else we got here? How to hide SharePoint Online Launcher, the tiles menu using SPFX. Why would you want to do that? Let's see what the use case is here. Assuming you want to customize an Office 365 SharePoint Online or 2019 Intranet, you have your own mega menu, so you want to hide the SharePoint tiles. Oh, okay, that's the use case. Got your own mega menu. This is achievable, unsupported though, by using an SPFX extension. Part of the SPFX code inside the onInit method would be something like this. Conclusion, we've seen how to hide it. Straight to the point. Want to hide it? Here you go. Hide it. Integrating Azure functions into your SharePoint development. I was actually looking at writing an Azure function today to connect our WordPress webhook to Microsoft Flow so I can send things over there and then run some flow and create some SharePoint items based on WordPress actions. Integrating Azure functions into your SharePoint dev. Had a couple opportunities to integrate Azure functions. He says he's been doing a lot of that lately. Started sharing what I've learned in different places. In late July, he recorded an interview with Paul Schefflein, I don't know how to say that name, on the topic of Microsoft 365 Developer Podcast, Azure Functions and SharePoint with Rob Windsor. He's also been working on a 3-part blog series on how to get started building Azure Functions that interact with SharePoint using the client object model over the PAIT group blog. So part 1 was around registering an application with Azure AD. Part 2 was developing Azure Functions in Visual Studio. Part 3 was creating and deploying an Azure Function app, coming soon. So a couple of those already out there if you're interested in looking at how you can integrate that. I'm not going to go into those, but the next one in the series will be creating and deploying. Oops. All right, getting through it here. We're almost done. September PowerUps community call, how to create secure PowerUps with SharePoint data sources. Talked a little bit about this at the beginning of the stream here. In this week's community webinar, they'll demonstrate how to create secure PowerUps with SharePoint data sources. They'll demonstrate how to do security trimming inside the PowerUp on the front end of a PowerUp solution. And then Laura Rogers will follow up by demonstrating how to secure the SharePoint list. Yeah, I think we had a weekly newsletter post last week that discussed how that security wasn't there and how the integration did not provide a syncing, if you will, of the security. And so here we go. Next week, we've got a solution potentially to sync in those security pieces. Nice. April Dunham and Laura Rogers there. Good. I'm sure that's a great video. Probably need to go back and watch that one. Last but not least here on Around the Blogosphere, remove title header on SharePoint Online. So remove the title header. Yep, I think we saw this last week too, didn't we? Might have been a different author in a different way. I'll have to go back and review. But when creating a new page, a header with the title of the page will be shown to the user, right? And so you've got like 3 or 4 options there for formatting of the header, page header. Anyways, it looks like they're going to share some PowerShell that allows you to remove that area from the page and some articles that you can use with different options. So here's your PowerShell. Go hack, and you intend to remove from all of the site pages, use this code so you can actually do it, iterate over each page and do that. So how is it doing that? So it's setting PnP client-side page, identity, page name, layout type, home. So the home layout type doesn't have a header. and it's converting those to that. So apparently there's no UI way to do that, so you can use some PowerShell to do it. All right, SharePoint events. Here's what's going on in the space. Got to get plugged in. Actually, yesterday, the 19th, the Panda Talk. Whoop, whoop. That was pretty good. Like I said, it's on YouTube, so if you want to go back and watch me give the Panda Talk, it was on SharePoint and why SharePoint is what was the title? It was pretty much why SharePoint is such a great place and a good host for project management type of functionality. So I kind of talked through the experiences and whether classic or modern, and sort of how that ecosystem of project management just fits within the SharePoint world so well. And then the migration into this new modern big tool chain that comes with Office 365 and how we can leverage all those things to build and create project management systems and processes that really are custom tailored to your organization. They just work so well. And they're beginning to become sort of a current look to them, right? So it feels a little bit more, I don't know, I'm big into aesthetics, and I think everyone can agree that SharePoint Modern has taken SharePoint from being this really classic enterprisey thing to something that we want to use because it just looks, feels, interacts very current, right? That's all. Anyways, Panda Talk, go check it out. It's on YouTube. September 21st, we got a bunch of SharePoint Saturdays kicking off. We got one in Adelaide, Pittsburgh, coming to Helsinki, Los Angeles, Richmond, Boston, Ottawa, Cincinnati, Denver, Ensenada, Brussels, Kansas City, and Sydney. So if you're in any of those areas, you've never been to SharePoint Saturday, you need to get there, man. I'm telling you, if you want to go to work and know what you're talking about and know what's happening, this month in the SharePoint world, or what is the new initiative from Microsoft pushing towards SharePoint? Go hear it first from the MVPs and the evangelists out there, and shake some hands, man. I made a lot of great contacts at a SharePoint Saturday. So get some of that. September 24th online, you've got the Building Modern SharePoint Applications using SharePoint Framework, and I believe this is a Microsoft Learning event, so you can get plugged into that. September 26th, they'll be doing the webinar on our knowledge management solution, centralizing that organizational content and those resources. We have a product on that, so I'll be doing a webinar if you're interested in plugging in there. And that's it. That's all the events. That's all I got for Newsletter Friday, y'all. Thank you for jumping on. Thanks for attending. Appreciate y'all watching. I don't have anything else. We will be back. So I do stream Wednesdays and Fridays at noon, usually only for 30 minutes. Today it went on for 45, so thanks for hanging. Jason T, what's up? Thanks for jumping on, bro. I'll call you shortly after this. Yeah, so Wednesdays and Fridays, noon to noon 30 usually. Wednesdays I do the prepping for the webinar, so we kind of get to walk through our products, hang out, ask any questions you want, just kind of watch me configure and get ready for the webinar, which happens on Thursday. I'm going to start streaming the webinars as well as doing the GoToWebinar. That's the platform we use to deliver those. But I think we're going to start streaming those more just because I like the interaction and the interface for these streaming platforms, and they're just so much more performant, in my opinion, than GoToWebinar is. I tried to do the Panda Talk yesterday with camera, with presentation, all that, and it just freaking brought it to its knees. Customers were like, I can't see your screen. What's happening? So, yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but Wednesdays, Fridays, definitely going to be live here, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Thursdays was GoToWebinar. I'm going to start trying to get that on the stream, though. So if you're looking to get plugged in and hang out with us a little bit more, there you go. That's when I'll be on. All right. That's it for me. Peace out. Y'all have a great weekend. We will check y'all later.